Have you ever wondered why women always washes the dishes? It's because of this story. In the town of Santa Rosa, there once lived a couple named Hugo and Imelda. Every mealtime they quarreled over the chore of washing the dishes. Imelda would scold Hugo if he refused to wash the dishes. Sometimes she would get angry and call him names, and if he talked back, she would get a bamboo midrib broom and chase him with it. He would run to the house of his compadre and hide there till his wife's anger had passed. The neighbors familiarly called Imelda, Kamaldang, Hugo, and Kaugong. One day, just as they were finishing their lunch, Kaugong announced,
"I'm not going to wash the dishes anymore."
He threw out his chest and lifted his chin.
Who says so?
Asked Kamaldang, holding up her chin higher than his.
I say so. I've worked so hard in the field this morning. I'm not going to wash any dish.
Kamaldang stood up and with her arms akimbo, she glared down at Kaugong across the table. She was at Kaugong across the table. She was a big woman. Her arms were stout. Her voice was also big.
And who? Mr. Hugo is going to wash these dishes,
she asked. Kaugong's chest sank again. His chin also went down. He held on the edge of the table nervously.
You.
He said in a much lower tone.
You are the woman. You should do all the housework.
And what do you do?
Asked Kamaldang.
You tie the carbo in the reeds at the fields? You call that hard work? I clean the house. I wash your clothes. I even do the work that slaves should do. But you refuse to wash the dishes that you have eaten.
Kamaldang's voice was now raised to a high pitch and her tears posed on her eyelids at Kaugong and at her broom. She grabbed the broom. She raised the broom to strike him, crying,
You lazy man!
Kaugong ducked under the table.
Don't!
He cried.
Come out, you coward!
Ordered Kamaldang.
Lay down your broom!
Said Kaugong.
Alright, come out.
Kamaldang put her broom behind the door. Kaugong returned to his seat opposite her at the table.
And what have you to say?
Asked Kamaldang, wiping her eyes.
Let's stop quarreling over the plates. Let's have a wager. The first one of us who will speak after I said begin will wash the dishes always.
Only that?
Said Kamaldang.
The first one to talk will wash the bowls, the plates, the pans. Always?
Right.
Said Kaugong.
If you ever just say one word to me, or to anybody, or to anything after I said begin, will always wash the dishes.
That's easy. I can keep my mouth shut for a week, but you can't. You even talk to your carbo.
Begin.
They both fell silent. They sat at the table looking at each other across the unwashed plates and bowls and spoons. They did not like to leave each other for fear that one would talk to himself without the other's hearing. They sat there just
Soon the cat began to mew for its food. Neither Kamaldang nor Kaugong paid attention to its mewing. The cat jumped upon the drying dishes to lick the leftovers. Kamaldang did not drive the cat away. Neither did Kaugong. The cat licked the pot and pan on it, then went to lie down under the table. Kaugong pretended that nothing had happened. He continued to sit still, and so did Kamaldang. Soon it was getting late in the afternoon, but they went on sitting mutely at the lunch table. Their eyes were tired from staring hard at each other. Tears began to roll down their cheeks. Kaugong's shirt became damp with his sweat. Kamaldang's sweat gathered on her forehead and trickled down to the sides of her face and fell drop by drop. A neighbor called,
"Compadre Hugo! Oh, compadre!"
Kaugong did not answer. The neighbor called again.
"Compadre Maldang! You! Compadre Maldang! Compadre Ugong! You! Compadre Ugong! May I borrow your axe?"
Kamaldang did not answer. Kaugong looked at her silently.
Perhaps nobody's at home.
They heard the neighbor say to himself,
But why did they leave their ladder at the door? They usually remove the ladder when they go away. Well, I'll just go up and get the axe and return it later.
The neighbor went up. When the neighbor went up the bamboo ladder, he was surprised to see Kamaldang and Kaugong sitting silently at the table where the plates had dried up with the leftovers. He hurried toward them. Kaugong neither moved nor talked. The neighbor repeated his questions. He shook Kaugong's shoulder. Kaugong let him shake him, closing his lips tighter. The neighbor turned to Kamaldang.
Speak! Kamaldang, what happened?
He shook her shoulders too. She pushed him roughly aside but did not speak.
Did you eat something poisonous? Some food that makes you dumb?
He shook each one alternately, but still neither stood up nor talked. The neighbor was alarmed. He did not get the axe but ran out to the rest of the neighbors. He told them that something terrible had happened to his compadre Ugong and compadre Kamaldang. The neighbors gathered at Kamaldang's dining room. They took turns trying to make them speak, but the two continued to sit staring at each other in silence. Kamaldang looked at her husband threateningly for a moment, then closed her eyes. Kaugong knew that she did so to avoid looking at the neighbors. He also closed his eyes and ignored everyone who had come up to his house. Kamaldang was very angry with her compadre's interference, but she dared not to speak her mind. She pretended to be asleep.
The compadre was very much worried. He ran to the village herdman. The herdman came down and he saw the motionless, silent husband and wife sitting at the table. He declared that they were bewitched. He spread a woven butt mat in the center of the sala and asked the bewitched couple to lie down. Kaugong obediently lay down and closed his eyes. He curled up and went to sleep, but Kamaldang refused to get up from where she sat at the dining table. The herdman said,
Oh, the spirit that has taken possession of her is very stubborn. It must break its spells.
He turned and produced a small bag which he always carried 9 pieces of betel leaf, a piece of areca nut, and a little lime from a tiny bottle. He examined the leaves closely to choose those which had veins running in identical arrangements on each side of the midrib. He cut the nut into 9 pieces. He spread a little lime on each betel leaf, rolled them and wrapped them around 9 pieces of areca nut. He now had 9 rings of the leaves.
These represent the lost spirits of the couple.
He said. He chewed a leaf and nut. When he had chewed it, he spat it on his palm, dipped a forefinger on the other hand into the nut-colored saliva, and marked with a cross on the foreheads of Kaugong and Kamaldang. Kaugong did not seem to feel the old man's finger on his forehead. Kamaldang caught the man's forefinger and twisted it. The old herb doctor cried and pulled back his hand. He moved toward Kaugong, who was lying down, calling his name softly and slowly several times.
Come, Ugo. Come back, Ugo.
Kaugong did not move nor speak.
Come, Maldang. Come to your home. Your body. Come.
Chanted the old man. Kamaldang did not answer. Evening fell on the frightened village, frightened because the herdman doctor said that the spell might be cast on some other villagers beside Kaugong and Kamaldang. He called the bewitched couple softly at first, and then louder, but became tired, so he reclined against the bamboo wall. The old man said. The old herdman said,
This is the first kind of witchery I have met here. By their silence, I believe that they are dead now. Their spirits, driven away by the witch, have left their bodies. The only thing to do in order to keep their souls in peace is to Bury them.
The man easily lifted Kaugong and places him inside the coffin. Surely, he thought to himself he would win the wager. He would not be afraid of being buried. Why? He would just get cut off the grave when the neighbors were gone. He thought everything going on was great fun and he was enjoying himself. How he would frighten them all when he returned from his grave. The herdsman approached Camel Down, although her eyes were closed. She had been listening to his directions. She was afraid that he would surely force her into the